end of 2025. And I swear, if you listened to tech predictions a year ago, you'd expect we're all running agentic AI that builds apps end-to-end, AI ops that kills incidents, and reinvention everywhere. So what we actually got? Compliance cosplay, global outages, and RAM prices that look like crypto charts because data centers are hoarding memory to run Gen AI. Cool use of civilization, you all. So here are two things this episode is about. One, late 2024 was like 2025 will be the year of real AI workflows. So did that happen, or did we just get nicer demos and more vendor slides? And second, AI didn't just hit engineers, it leaked into everything. People who never touched a Pro Tool suddenly shipped real content. And developers, all of them used AI in secret like it's masturbation. Everyone does it, nobody admits it. So in this episode, we compare what the industry said 2025 would be versus what actually happened on the ground. My name is Leo Sushev. I'm a co-founder of MKDev, where we help teams move faster with cloud-native platforms, automation, and Gen AI-ready architecture. And this is DevOps Accent, where we strip buzzword down to what's real. And today I'm joined by my MKDev co-founders, Pablo, Inigo, and Kirill Shirinkin. Let's get to it.
Welcome to DevOps Accents, a podcast on everything around DevOps, public cloud, and cloud-native topics, with your hosts, Pablo, Leo, and Kirill.
All right, so this is how we start. Before we do the everyone shares their personal highlights part, I wanted to do a quick what happened in our industry in 2025 checklist, because while I was preparing to this episode, I basically went down a rabbit hole reading all the recaps, outage timelines, vendor keynotes, different articles, and all that stuff to understand what the industry is thinking about it. But who am I kidding, right? I just asked ChatGPT, give me this wrapper. I didn't do all that stuff. And it turns incredibly boring because from my perspective, at least from what I gathered, 2025 was defined by just two major events. One of them is Dora went live in January 2025, and now everybody is thinking or comparing what are they doing better, or is it they if their compliance became more resilient, or did it just make everyone better at writing policies? And another thing that major thing that happened in 2025 is like global outages. That's AWS Cloudflare. Another one, the name of Ingram Micro, something like that. So yeah, so those was shocking. But I think this deserves a whole separate episode because there is a big question rises. If internet is so decentralized as we expected. And then I decided, okay, let's not focus on 2025 more, but let's check how our prediction for 2025 were in 2024 and what happened, and did they come to pass or not? And honestly, the vibe back then was pretty consistent. It was all around artificial intelligence, and the companies were like, okay, 2024 was experimentation and wrappers for us, but 2025 is when companies stop playing and toying with the AI and start doing real business, rebuilding real workflows around AI, and moving from experimentations to what the correct word, reinvention. Reinvention. Yeah, that's the right word. So, and I'm not entirely sure this happened. A lot of companies, they were pushing the idea of agentic AI, like not just chat, but autonomous-ish agents doing tasks in their enterprise systems, and they were expecting this to happen in 2025. I'm not just sure, because I remember when we were discussing this at the end of 2025, I kind of was saying that we still will be in the era where we rely more on human observation and human, like, there should be more human job, and we will be using AI as an assistant more rather than letting it do its own work. And yeah, so there was a lot of predictions. Quickly, some of them AI ops, and we were expecting that AI ops to fight incidents and technical debt more. Will be more automation, more pressure to make ops less human dependent. And another threat I kept like seeing, cloud is still growing, but everyone will be more cost sensitive and more hybrid, and also private cloud comes back in conversation. Especially with all that VMware drama. Does anyone remember that? And the whole "do we really want to be locked in" vibe. The people were even calling out private cloud's momentum with VMware alternatives, and I'm still wonder if it happened. Like, did this happen in 2025 as we predicted? And also security, right? So at the end of 2024, people were like, break yourself. And Google security forecast was basically attackers will use artificial intelligence, this kind of fear mongering, like they will extortion and ransomware isn't going anywhere. And geopolitics add spies, and defenders will have to adapt fast. Kinda. But here we are at the end of 2025, and I think that the real plot twist is memory. Like, we are sitting here at the end of 2025, and we're basically losing our minds over RAM prices. It's skyrocketed like suddenly because apparently there's just not enough of it. And why? Because every data center on the planet is vacuuming up memory to keep their Gen AI running so we can all generate ultra important content like beavers and postal vending machines doing sky jumping at Winter Olympics. That was kind of mood for their predictions, and then we have this result. Do you guys think that we kind of failed ourselves for our expectations, but comparing what we were expecting for and what we get as a result?
I think that, okay, if we know what is going to happen next year, I'm going to buy stocks right now for this. So, but okay, more or less, we guess what could happen, but it's not really what is happening. But at the end, there are many things changing. Like, for example, all these applications that are, for example, with the images and the videos. It's something crazy, no? How Google and all the companies now, even now GPT, as soon as you go to GPT, the first thing is telling to you, you can create a new image here. How these companies are able to create videos and editing images and video online. You can do that for me with a prompt, and then now editing that, and you can combine, like, for example, one code that Kirill created yesterday, about a few days ago, that is combining different cloud, in this case, that is a programming LLM with an image LLM in Google. And at the end, what is happening in these cases is that common application like Photoshop, application that has been in the market for many years, so day by day are going to lose the market because the people is not going to use those tools, let's say, anymore. They don't want to pay the license for that, and they want to use that. In this case, for example, we had a guess in 2024 telling that many companies are going to lose customers and things like that. But we never thought that, for example, in this case, is so this so particular case, the case with the images, is so strong now, because if I have stocks in companies like Photoshop or companies like that, I would sell all my stocks currently, because you see what is going to happen in the market, that everyone is going to prefer to write a prompt telling what you want to have, and then with part of this prompt you can create fantastic videos. Something that Kirill can explain much better than me. But this is something that for me was not possible to discover, because I was thinking more in other kind of companies, like you were telling before, security or things like that, but I never thought in this case. But day by day, for sure that the AI is deeply inside everything. It's like this vibe coding. That at the end is what we were talking yesterday, Kirill and me. It's like an addition, because you are using byte coding at the end is something like, because you don't need to code per se, so you only need to architect something. So it's crazy, because it's like this movie from Tom Cruise, that he was moving with the fingers in the air. So at the end is something similar in this case, because you are the architect of whatever thing in super fast times. And this is only the beginning, because imagine in few years that you can really create a very good prompt, and automatically everything end to end is done. And this is something that, for example, it was difficult to think, because I was thinking, for me in 2024, as far as I remember, more in the capability of, for example, this thing with the AI ops, to be able to tell there is no more DevOps people, and this is not true. Everything like that is still working like it was before. You can use those tools to help you, but not to create a complete environment. Like, for example, could happen with the photos today.
Yeah, so I actually remember I looked back at our podcast episode at the end of 2024, where we were discussing what will happen. And you were actually saying that AI will significantly change developers' roles and team sizes over the next few years, not just in 2025. This will be it will be a longer process of adaptation, but productivity gains will be real, and fear is like the main barrier, because people are still afraid of using such tools, and they fear that they might be replaced by that it won't happen soon. So,
but fear today, what I see is that the people has fear in some cases to tell that they are using those tools. I have a friend who is working in.
so they're using it, but they fear to say that. That's like masturbation, right?
Who is working in one of the high tech in USA, and he's telling to me that he's using those tools daily, and he never tell to anyone. Because you cannot tell, because they don't allow you to do that, but you do that. So at the end is this fear to be widely open to the people, to tell, yes, it's like to open the closet and go out and tell, yes, I'm using those tools. It's something that still is happening. There are different kinds of organization, but every organization is different.
Yeah. But let's get back to what was discussed in 2024. AI agents, agentic AIs, and that was predicted that autonomous agents doing tasks in enterprise systems. Do we see this now, from your perspective? You're working hands-on with the infrastructure, with clients, and their systems. Is it happening right now?
I didn't like the word agent. Like last year, I still didn't like it, and I think the progress in the last 6 months proves that I was right, because this whole concept of agent is that, okay, LLM alone is not able to, or LLM model is not able to do everything like in one shot, and then you need to do all of this complex, like, okay, agent topic, like lots of things, and I have friends who are like super passionate about agents. But the main idea is that you cannot just take like GPT-5 and then tell it like to do something, it will do everything end to end. You need to have like maybe 10 different nodes.
Basically, you are saying about like the way how they present this on their OpenAI presentation. Like they say, give me an app that does this, and then in 5 minutes they already have this application that does track some kind of tracking. I don't remember exactly what they were presenting. So you mean it's not that what happens? Like you cannot get the result in a single prompt like they were promoting.
No, I mean, this is exactly what happened without any agents. So basically, there was like this, okay, we're going to write agents that have lots of different nodes and then exchange information. But what happened in reality is that the models just progress to the point where you can really just say to Claude Opus 4.5, do this for me. It works for 20 minutes and everything is done. And it's able to use all the possible tools, maybe MCP server. And there is no, okay, you can say that it creates sub-agents when it runs. But in the end, the actual like terminology of agent is irrelevant now, because every LLM is now able to use tools. Tools is like, okay, it can actually, instead of just generating text, it's able to invoke some other utilities. And I can talk about like image generation use case for agents in a bit. But it seems like still everyone is talking about agents. I did not see like truly agentic thingy in the wild, but I must admit that probably I interacted with it without knowing it. Because that's one of the points for me is like in last, and something happened for me in July. Like I think till June, July, the whole AI stuff was kind of ramping up, and then for me the second half of the year just exploded because I see with the content that Pablo mentioned. It's a long one. So my mother sent me a video, which is basically looks like a regular Instagram funny video where there is a big dog laying on the carpet, and there's a small dog coming from behind in the mask of like this Friday 15th, this Jason mask with like a knife and whatever, not a knife. And then the big dog like turns the head and sees the small dog, freaks out and starts running around and like ruins the half of the apartment running. And the video she sent me was like this kind of video, but like lots of like presumably different people making the same kind of trend with these big dogs. And the video is like 60 seconds long, and every clip is like maybe 8 seconds, 10 seconds. And by the video 6 in this, maybe video 5 in this series, I realized actually half of these videos are not real. Like you watch the first one, you're like, funny, there's like a chihuahua in a fucking mask making the Rottweiler scared. And then you see some of the like in the background, the pot with the, not like the marijuana pot, but with some plant just like jumps unnaturally in the air and back on the floor. Like, fuck, that was AI. and the more like every day, the more like I scroll Instagram and like I do it a lot because like why not dopamine? The more AI stuff is there, and it's scary because like I do not recognize this anymore. There is like one girl that she's organizes like luxury trips for people who have enough money. So and she has this format on Instagram where she posts how she talks on the phone with her customers, presumably like billionaires. And then she's like, okay, this customer like says that she's gonna arrive to New York like 2 hours, and you're not gonna believe like how I managed to organize some fancy restaurant for him. So and the whole video is like 1 minute of her like talking over the phone. And then I'm like, the voice of this guy is suspicious. And then I start reading comments, like maybe first 40 comments are like, this guy is such a douche. Like, oh no, this guy is like actually reacting properly. Like, oh, he's such a good organizer who wins. And then one comment, like maybe comment number like 46, you have to scroll to it. It says like, but this is like one of the default voices on 11 Labs. This is like not a real human voice. And then another 100 comments about like how this video is like cool and how this guy is like, oh, how she managed to book her. And then another guy is like, it's crazy that people don't realize that it's an AI. Like, fuck, so we are at this point on Instagram that, okay, now it's done. Like, you never know if video is AI or not. And I didn't expect this to happen by end of this year. That it's going to be like, I'll be tricked because I'm tricked all the time now with AI videos.
No wonder the state of price, the state of price for memory. Because so instead of doing coding, agentic AI helping us be more productive, all the powers, all the electricity goes to generating these funny videos for Instagram for dopamine.
But wipe coding exploded as well, and if you think about last year, okay, I used AI for coding all the time. I did not code actually like many things.
All right, let's talk a little bit about it. So how did it change for you in a span of 2025?
It just went from a small assistant, like generating some bash scripts, Python scripts, like some quick software, to basically this incredible. So I think if you're not using these tools today, it's just a stupidity. And there are lots of companies that are like plain stupid around the world. Like you cannot use this, or like you can use it, but you have to use this particular model. And it's going to be like a big problem for some, like for Microsoft, for example, right? Because they cannot just say you can use Gemini Pro, the Gemini 3 Pro, because that's a competitor. So they're going to like slow each other down depending on the progress with these models. But like what Pablo said, like the guy is afraid to tell that his boss or his colleagues that he's using GPT or whatever for work. But I think like everyone in the company, this guy should be using it as much as possible, because we are at this moment where you'll just see the difference in performance. Like last year, it was not so evident because people were still learning these tools and tools are not so powerful. Now we are at this point is like there's going to be a guy who is doing maybe a job of 50 guys in 1 month, and there's going to be like lots of guys who are not doing like regular amount of work. And like, okay, I don't care if this guy uses AI. It's like I prefer 10 guys with AI than 10 guys without AI. It's just like, and everyone who is not using AI, even in the shadow AT mode, is gonna look stupid because like, okay, like here the John just shipped 25 features this week, and you are upgrading one library still for the last 3 weeks. It's ridiculous not to use these tools.
I cannot imagine currently a development company with 50 or 100 guys using cloud, all connected to one project. So they can do what they want in one day. So imagine 100 guys coding in cloud, and they have tasks they can do, as Kirill is telling, one, another. And it's like a monster, because it's feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding. And in this speed, you can do everything, nothing. But the problem now is coming with the other problem, because if you have a customer and you're a developer company and you're using AI coding with tool byte coding like cloud or whatever the tool, and the problem is you're telling to the customer, okay, the price it was 100,000 euros for this tool, but now it was taking to you 6 months, 10 people, but now it's taking to you 2 weeks, 3 guys. So then you cannot charge to this company 100,000. So because then is the other point, because many companies doesn't want to tell to the customers, okay, we are using byte coding, full byte coding. So give me what you want, I will do to you in 3 weeks. It's going to be perfect in security, perfect in performance in the database, backend, front end, because even have people who know how to do the architecture is going to be perfect, but it's going to be done in 3 weeks instead of 6 months as before, but you need to pay the same.
Do you think the customers started noticing this difference or thinking about it?
No, for sure. That it's because there is no sense today. For example, these webs that, for example, imagine one page. I don't remember these web pages that make to you a web page, and you pay to this company, imagine 10 euros, 20 euros per month to make a simple web page for your store or something like that. You can do that, really, I'm not kidding on that, in 25 minutes. So I had to do, because, okay, I was requesting something for my personal company. I need to create a web page for my company. I said, okay, I'm going to put the clock to check how long it's taking for cloud to do that. Apart from the thing of the DNS that I need to go and set up the DNS, but again, even you can do with API in case that you have API there. But it wasn't with API because where I had my own company is there. It was something like 16 minutes, 18. And it's a fantastic web. So it's for what needs to be. Okay, this is my company. We are doing that, blah, 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 blah. That's all. 20 pages, CEO, everything in place. Perfect.
I think like in this case, you talk about some static web pages. And I see like anyone who is writing them from scratch is in any case wasting their time. Like this idea is that you're going to hire a web developer to create a web page for your like a laundry shop. It's ridiculous. You just go to Squarespace, you go to Shopify, and you just in 5 minutes you get even better page with better integrations. That's the place actually where this vibe coding, yes, it's fast to create it, but it already made no sense to create it yourself. Like there are platforms to create websites. Like this issue is solved in like 10 years probably. Like WordPress is there since how long? But for more complex things, I think if you have a customer who's like, okay, I want to create some dashboard for my private clinic that accumulates all the data from all the patients and gives personalized insight and so on, you can do it much faster now for sure. But it's like you should ideally try to avoid connecting your value to the hour of your work. And if you already price per the value of the product you deliver, then it doesn't matter. Like, okay, you deliver the same excellent product, but now three times faster. So the customer gets, maybe they still pay $100,000, but they get the result 2 times faster, 3 times faster. So I think, like, why would customers actually complain about this? They could say, I can do it myself, but then they really can't. You cannot develop complex stuff without actually still knowing what web coding tools are doing.
I can speak from like designer perspective, right, and from the creative part of job. I know like the client, they a few years ago, they were launching a product and they spent 300K into a photo shoot, making pictures of people in different scenarios, in different locations, interacting with that product. And they spent 300K on it. And from my perspective, the photo shoot was like mediocre. It was okay, but not super fancy. And this year, they decided we need to refresh this campaign, but we don't want to spend another 300K on photoshoot. Let's try to use AI instead and generate these people in different environments, people of different races, like the same scenario, but replace people with different races, different ethnicities. And they budgeted to 60K. Is it possible? And the truth is that it was possible, but the result was still very much obvious that it was AI generated. And there was, okay, we want to be there or like on this, on the front line of the technology, and we won't be shying of it. We will be saying that we tried AI, we use this with artificial intelligence. So they were kind of vibing on that. And the worst part in all this story is that the amount of work that we had to put into fine-tuning images and still using a lot of old school, like traditional software to make them look better. Because when you prompt, even if you use a lot of workflow tools, not just one single input window, there are a lot of inputs, a lot of workflow that one of them determines the background, another one determines the pose, the face, things like that, the references. They all connected into generating the final output, even though they still do not produce you the result you were expecting. And I was wondering, and in order to fix that, we were using a lot of traditional software. We were cutting bits and parts from different images and combining them into one that looks a bit prettier. And I was wondering, is it something that is it similar to the coding, to the infrastructure, or to the architecture? Do you still have to micromanage the code, the output result, or you can do this with more closed eyes and in a more relaxed way?
Do you think your project infrastructure is well set and maintained? We know for sure there is always room for improvement. If you are uncertain where to begin, let's first do an audit of what you already have. We will review your setup from every angle: performance, cost, security, high availability, and automation, and provide you with a detailed roadmap of which direction your infrastructure should go, generate concrete tasks for you to implement, or even take on your infra entirely, if you let us, of course.
First, about the image that you were talking. So, again, not an expert visually discovering what is AI, what is not AI. But for example, Kirill has been creating videos. And some of the videos, and I was creating videos too for some kind of company that have in a place in a country, creating videos. And really, some of the videos for me was very difficult to know if this is okay. It's not that it was very difficult; it's that I didn't know that it was AI or it's not AI. And I'm talking about people. So because now you are able to take a face, and then this face you can put in, create videos with this face in different situation, in different moments, and you see those videos, and really it's not complex. It's not the guys with 6 fingers now. It's not like that. And yes, and for me, maybe I am not good on that. Impossible to discover if this is AI or it's not AI. Even when he sent to me one video that I was thinking that it was AI, I was telling, wow, I love this one. But I was thinking that it was AI and it was a real one. So imagine that, what is happening now in your brain, because what I was thinking, really, okay, this is AI. This was real. So it's really crazy. And what's happening in the vibe coding is when you're coding, everything depends on the prompt. Because if you are giving to the AI, to the LLM, to the model, a complete information of what you want to do, normally he or she or it is not creating problems. So it's not creating problems. For sure that you need to be checking what is happening, because maybe sometimes you want to do A and he is giving to you 3 options, A, B, and C. And sometimes he's taking the decision to go to B because you activate the auto mode, and then he's choose the decision that you want to have. And maybe for you it's not the best option B, and maybe the best option is A. But these minimal points for me are nothing compared what you get, because what you are getting is something that it was impossible. So you're creating now the impossible. So okay, you made sometimes some mistakes, no mistakes. You go in a path that I don't want you to go. That sometimes is I'm wrong even. But apart from that, I don't think that there is no much problem. So at least this is what I have seen in the last months.
I still like you still need to understand what's happening. Like there are areas where I feel, and I'm gonna offend like every front-end developer out there, like front-end apps, the web apps, like in the browser. Yes, I if it's fast enough and like performance is good, like it loads fast, it's not slugging in the Chrome browser. I personally, if I wipe coded this front-end app, I don't care about the code. Like for me, it's like I just whatever. Like, it could be complete total mess. If it looks nice, it's responsive, it reacts to all the clicks and everything. In this case, I don't even like double check the code. For lots of backend stuff, like I feel like you still need to understand what's happening. Like you need to understand how systems work. Like the more complex it gets, background job processing, synchronous communication, security, how you fetch secrets. If you don't know how this works, you can still wipe code all of this and it's gonna work, but you're in a bigger danger because there are probably gonna be horrible issues in this code. But that's for now. Like it's less and less issues. The solutions the AI gives now is like way better than last year, and it's to the point is that you still need to know what's happening, and it's kind of still like if you don't know what's happening, should you learn or you just wait for Claude 5 and then it's gonna do it? But you need to tell it how it works. Like the way I communicate for when I write the code for like some proper application, I actually first think about how it's going to work on the backend, frontend, etc. Integration. I don't just say like make me this feature. I actually say like I want like client app to send this API request. This API endpoint is protected by this means, and then it needs to connect this database. So I know what should happen, and then it gives me an excellent output from my inputs.
One case about the front end, because what Kirill is telling is true. The hard work is in the back end, it's not in the front end. But something that I was doing 2 days ago is we're creating a web page for NKDev. And I was telling something that for me always was a nightmare. I need you to do a complete SEO study, a full complete SEO study of what is happening in this page. And I want to have a 100%, so the best SEO page in the world. So it took time to do that and several retries. But at the end, for example, in page speed, I was getting 100 in everything. So something that I never saw in any page. And it's something that for me is impossible, because when you go to these places and you see always one little error, and you can copy the output, paste, and fix it everything. So then you are able now to be here up in case that you're using this kind of tools. And now you're not using these tools, you are not up, you're down. But you need to know how it's working everything, as Kirill is telling. You need to know what you need to do when you create an application, the front end, the back end, the SEO, the marketing. You need to know how it's working everything, and then you need to then do everything. It's not like, okay, create this app, and then it's going to consider all the details. So this is going to be a mobile, or it's not going to be a mobile. It's going to be a web app. Okay, I'm going to contact with Google. I'm going to contact with Apple, and develop them. Then I'm going to use your account. If not, I'm going to request. It's not doing everything. You need to do many things. But maybe in 2-3 years, Cloud 5, 6, 7 is able to do everything for you. I want that. I will do everything.
Probably even less. So because I was skeptical last year, and for me the change this year in general about AI was that we went from this insane hype, and when was it, ChatGPT released 2022, 2023, and then we went to it's AI is cool, but it can do everything. So we need to be smart about how we use it. It's not like a magic wand. It's not gonna be super cool agents that do everything for us. And that was beginning of 2025 for me. And then again, in July, it just changed to the opposite. I realized, okay, fuck no. Next year, in 2 years, that's my prediction. We are cooked. The only thing that is going to matter is that people with ideas and being able to use these tools. And that's it. And I see, because I can say, with vibe coding and infrastructure, you need to understand what's happening. But I see at the visual work, and I'm going to probably also upset some people at MKDF, but there's this app I'm working on, and there is this fantastic AI model from Google, Nano Banana Pro 2.
You're in love with this one.
Which is, I love this model. I love that Google managed to make a funny name, not like Gemini image generator. And this is so I have an app. I'm not going to dive deep into what kind of app, so I'm not sure to do self-promotion. But this app is a mobile app, and it has screenshots on App Store.
Self-promotion!
So, and you need to create screenshots for apps in App Store, ideally in different languages, because you want to be attract as many people as possible. So if people go to German App Stores, they need to see screenshots in German, right? And I had screenshots prepared by a designer in English. And then on the screenshots, you can imagine it's a beautiful image. And then inside the image, sometimes there's a smartphone frame inside. And inside smartphone frame, it's my app. And then screenshot of my app inside the smartphone frame is in English. So I need to change the text around the smartphone frame, and I need to change the screenshot inside. So I was I asked the designer, okay, how can I adjust the text and translate it to German and replace this one? It's you need to open Figma, and then you need to install this plugin. And then I'm fuck, no. And then I need to repeat it for four languages. I go to Nano Banana Pro 2, and I give the screenshot in English. I give a UI screenshot in German, and I say, inside smartphone frame, replace existing screenshot with this German screenshot, change the text on top from current English marketing text to German marketing text, 10 seconds, and I have the final image. And that was impossible beginning of the year or last year, that the AI keeps the font. Okay, first AI keeps the text as you wanted it. It doesn't just make up words. It keeps good text in the same font, and it properly replaces something inside the existing image with a screenshot of another one, which has lots of text because it's an iPhone app, so it has text in it, without fucking up the text. And I was fuck, okay, so I can say that you need to know in vibe coding how to do things, but at the same time I see okay, I don't need to know anything about Photoshop or any other tool. I can just use this Nano Banana Pro and generate the screenshots. And the next thing I did later on is I wanted to add a mascot for this app. I'm not going to say which mascot is this, though it's self-promotion, but I was able for $50 to generate more than 30 images of the mascot. Each image is the same mascot, so it keeps the same personality, same colors. You can see that it's the same creature on every image, just the different poses. In one, it's it's doing.
It's the same because I saw that and really it's the same. It's not there is a different.
Okay, it's doing yoga or it's doing squats. It's exactly the same character. And okay, I burned maybe 20, 30, $40 of Nano Banana Pro 2 generating these images. But imagine I would be waiting for if I would go to Dribble or these other websites for with the freelance designers, and post like a spec. And they're like, someone's asking me, yeah, but which images do you want? And I have to think about which images. And then I would wait for like 2 months to get these images back and then pay hourly rate for all of this. And it sounds horrible for like people with jobs doing this. And for sure, talented people will make a more beautiful mascot character with more soul in it. But I said, here I am, like I'm a solo developer. I don't have the budget to hire designers to create even nicer mascot and wait for 2 months. I just start Nana Banana and that's it. And even, I'm gonna almost done. Even crazier part. Now I have the screenshots that I generated before, but now they don't have this mascot on the screenshots. So I want to add mascot to the screenshots because it makes no sense. Like now this mascot is the central part of the application. It makes sense that App Store product page sees it. So I take all of these mascot images, I take my screenshots, and I just say, dear AI, could you please take this mascot, take this screenshot, and make it like a mascot is looking outside of the smartphone and looks at the screen in some cute and nice way. And then after a few iterations, it's done. So now if you go to the App Store, like you guys know the name of the app, you can see that every screenshot has the mascot in there. And again, so all of this work, maybe in summary, like 90 minutes and 84 euros on Google AI costs. And when I look at this, like how this image kind of work, okay, it's marketing image. It's not like serious AI, like it's not serious artwork. It's just like marketing images for the app and so on. But okay, now I cannot say that. Like probably there is someone in this world of creatives that says, yeah, but I still need to know what you're doing and like you not be able to get a good result. I think like, okay, Pablo says everything. Like he would probably say that it's a good result. And I would say it's a good result. Without knowing anything about, like I never opened any design tool to do any of this.
I would like to echo on this with my highlights for 2025, because what I noticed is how these tools and the job that we can do are kind of leaking outside of their professional area. And it's not just designers who are using artificial intelligence for design, and it's not just programmers who are using artificial intelligence for programming and for coding. And more people are able to do with these things that they were not able to do before. And not just in experimental way, but in a way that you just described. Because I have a similar example I have a friend who works as an event manager in the HR department, things like that. So they have no idea about technology, things like that, but they managed to pull off a 5 minutes long cartoon animated video on by their own. Like 2 people from the department, they created script, they generated all the images, they animated them into a separate like 20 seconds or 10 seconds frames, and then they stitched them together into a cohesive animated 5 minutes movie. Then they generated AI voice to give like a background, like a voice over to all the characters. And they generated music, and they combined all of that into a video, and they presented that at the corporate Happy New Year event like a few days ago. And just 2 ladies having no idea how to use any of that before 2025. And that amazed me like a lot, because so yeah, they naturally they asked a few questions in terms of which tool to use, what the order, things like that. But everything else they did on their own, and that's a nice thing, and that's the highlight of 2025 for me. Also, I wanted to ask, while you were talking about coding and micromanaging it, have you noticed how AI hallucination almost entirely gone from the discussion? So it's not like we need to make sure that AI not hallucinating, not inventing new stuff that it was not asked for. It's just disappeared. Is it just my experience, or have you noticed this too?
I think it's the other day, AI, I was like praising AI image generation, but what happened to me on Friday is that AI generated me lots of JPEG images with a PNG extension. And then I couldn't upload them because like incorrect file format. And then I asked the same AI, like, what the fuck is wrong with this file? So like, yeah, it's strange. These images are actually JPGs that are masked as PNG files. Like, what the fuck, like you did it. What do you mean?
Okay. Disregard this comment.
I still see, I think maybe because now they're connected to the web a bit more. So they look up data actively because the like LLMs like last year or 2 years ago were mostly like you just talk to an LLM, right? So it couldn't rely on any sources, and now it just constantly looks up in the internet. So like when you use Perplexity, it's almost entirely based on the real data from that it looks up as a search engine. What I noticed for me, which is like what maybe I'm wrong, maybe like you have a different impression, is that the models became super irrelevant, and to the point that GPT-5 was like nothing. I think like everyone cared for one day maybe about the release of GPT-5. So the whole 2024, we were like, Jesus, GPT-4 is so incredible. When GPT-5 is going to be released, it's going to just change the world forever. And then it's out and it's like, no, it's not as nice to talk to as GPT-4. Like that was the first like response first month that people were upset that it's not nice when you talk to it. And like that's the comeback of Google second half of the year is also pretty impressive because now they have the hardware, so they don't depend on NVIDIA like everyone else because they have their own chips. And with this Gemini series, they scared Altman to release the GPT 5.2. Again, like he released GPT 5.2 is like again, no one cares. Like no one generally cares about models, it seems. Unless you use particular tool and like, okay, like now my tool gets a bit smarter.
And there is something else that we didn't talk yet. It's about the idea of the bubble, no? If this is everything is a bubble and it's going to explode, it's not going to explode. And what happened in companies like, for example, AWS, Google, and all these kind of companies that they were generating a lot of billions of profit, and now they're using this profit to use in data center with chips, to be able to have their own models. Because even the other day, I discovered that Cloudflare has their own worker with AI models inside, super cheap, and I use them for one project. And I was reading about the money that Cloudflare is spending in AI. So, and it's something that is strange because everyone is spending billions in AI, and all the companies are cross and interconnected together because OpenAI bought billions of stocks of AWS, plus AWS buy a percentage of OpenAI. So, and at the end, this way that all these companies are cross and together are going to make that so big to fail. But at the end, in case that something happens, it's going to be a catastrophe. But the problem is that it's so deeply, day by day, inside of our life. And Kirill is telling, we don't care if now we have GPT-5 or GPT-6. Because it's the same thing that happened with the iPhone. Nobody cared. Even I don't know if the last iPhone is 17 or 16 or whatever, because there is nothing new, but there is a new iPhone. So I think that with GPT and all this kind of model is going to happen the same. So I'm going to use the new model for sure, but I don't care so much about what number of model is this one, if this is GPT-4, GPT-5 or GPT whatever. But we are going to use that daily. So because now the people is not using Google. So I tell it to people with 40 and 50 years old, when I saw them, they don't go to Google and make a question. Everyone is telling OpenGPT and making a question to GPT. So this conversation that you have with friends that ended in a guy taking the cell phone, no, you're not right. And doing the question, it was in Google before. Now it's in GPT. So this word of Google it, so Google something, now it's going to be GPT something because it's what's happened.
Or you Plex something. That's like I learned it 1 week ago because Perplexity has a cool name, not like stupid GPT, because now you have they now promote the new word Plex. You can just Plex it. Like they came up with this a little bit. I think like about the bubble, like I was concerned for a few weeks till my Nano experience. Then I realized so maybe probably now there's like lots of capacity that is unused because one of the things in this bubble is that Amazon like lays off 20,000 people or 40,000, I forgot how many, At the same time, they build this AI capacity, and according to some reports, it's like underutilized because like actually people not using it. But I think if you look at these advances in second half of 2025, what models can do now, like probably all of this capacity will be heavily utilized because more and more people will switch. More and more people will switch to wipe coding, to image generation, video generation, and so on. And then we're gonna need all of this, hopefully, or we'll just like it's gonna be exploded and we just die from poverty.
Yeah. I wanted to add a little bit to this bubble thingy because I was fully expecting that in 2025 we will see the signs of it, but now I'm not so sure. And I still, however, I still think that it's not like the AI bubble; it's more like AI startups bubble, because I don't think that we need those middlemen between end user and AI platform. So why do we need this AI startup that wraps some ideas into a product when I can go directly to Google Gemini or to GPT and do that directly? So we'll see how it will turn, because unless you are creating your own model, I don't think there is a need for a lot of AI startups anymore. All right. Before we wrap this up, do we want to make an attempt on 2026 predictions? Because looking back at how miserable predictions in 2024 for 2025 were, I kind of think that we are in a position that we should like relax and enjoy the show rather than trying to make any kind of predictions, because it's changed. And I'm still wonder. I would like to read some of the reports on people like who were betting or making investments into things, expecting some result in the foreseeable years, and then the technology evolved so fast that the thing that invested to is already obsolete. And I'd like to see more stories about it if they're there. So what do you think? Is it possible to predict anything?
I think it's impossible to predict anything. I have one highlight that is not AI related, and I wonder if we're going to see more of this in 2026, is quantum computing, and not quantum computers per se. There was an article from Signal. Signal is this super secure messenger, and they were explaining how actually Signal Messenger, it's already prepared for quantum computing, because one of the concerns with quantum computing is that it's so fast that it makes all of the existing encryption algorithms like pointless, because quantum computer is fast enough to just like brute force through it. So Signal is already quantum ready. So because there are already new algorithms that are supposed to be quantum safe, and they already they described how they prepared their apps and everything to be safe in this kind of scenario. Which is cool because you never see you read every now and then that Google created a new best quantum computer that's just doing what no one knows, and same for every other big tech like IBM. And another thing related to quantum that I saw is I forgot the name of this. So there is this idea that there are companies, and why you need to start thinking about it already today. There are companies or hackers or whatever shady bad people or half bad people, or maybe governments as well. They collect data. So imagine someone steals your database backups, but they are encrypted, right? So they cannot do anything about it because it's going to take them a few hundred years to decrypt it with a brute force. But they store these encrypted backups. And they just store them because they know, these people, they know that maybe in 1 and 2 years, quantum computer will progress enough that they can actually decrypt it. So it's an actual thing that there is data accumulation of encrypted data that companies that accumulate this data they cannot access, but they will be able to access one day. So whatever you think that it's currently safe encryption wise, it does not mean that quantum computing will arrive and then all of your data is going to be upgraded for better encryption, because your existing encrypted data probably is already stolen and just waits for quantum to arrive, and then it's going to be easily decrypted. So you need to think about these things already now. And that's why I found it cool that Signal already prepares for this, because of this idea that maybe in 1 year, maybe in 2 and 3, it's going to be these computers. And then you need to be prepared safety-wise.
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, because I remember whenever quantum computing is discussed, it says something like it cannot be widespread because one of the downsides, like limitation of quantum computing, is that you need to keep that operational at almost absolute zero temperature, and it's kind of impossible to do that in everyday environment. And I remember, I don't remember exactly the name of the company. I will try to Google it later and maybe put that link in the description. That
Or you can Plex it
what?
instead of Googling.
Maybe. Okay, yeah, right, yeah. I will Plex it. Yeah, I will Plex it and put the link in the description. The name of the company that invented kind of thing that lets quantum computer operate into a room temperature, and that's kind of the breakthrough. And after that, kind of predictions appeared that we might expect quantum computing to move from laboratory environment into actual offices and corporations, and to do more stuff for business. So yeah, that's an interesting observation.
Harvest now, decrypt later attack. That's how it's called. I just Plexed it.
Okay.
My perplexity.
It's not that. Yeah.
But that was impossible. Like 1 year ago, you couldn't just 1 year, maybe like 3 years ago, you couldn't just go to Google and say like concept of storing encrypted data to decrypt this quantum computer, and then you just instantly get an answer.
Yeah.
all these stupid questions, like this movie from like 80s where this guy was like running around with a squirrel, and boom, like you get an answer now. And 3 years ago, you would never find this movie. Like it's just going to be stuck in your brain, and then no one would believe you.
Yeah, just a few days ago, I was looking for a song. I remember a song from like 1996, something like that. I don't remember a tune and a few words from it. And I was okay. What the name of the song that a lady sings this and that and that, and it found it immediately. Like yeah, I can imagine it to be possible a few years ago. All right, no predictions for 2026 then, other than quantum. Maybe a little.
We can predict. Pablo,
you cannot predict. You can like bet something like, okay, I think that is going to happen, because it's impossible to know what is going to happen. But okay, in my prediction, I think that in 1 year time, vibe coding is going to give a big jump, because we have 12 months to improve models. So there will be version 5 or 10 or whatever of different pipe coding models. And this is going to make a big explosion in my mind of tools. Because, for example, if you go to something super simple like the gaming in mobile. So for a company to create a mobile game took to them months designing, coding, and you can do now something in 3 weeks. So something good. And this is going to be an explosion of new apps for new companies, because maybe the all big companies, they don't want to play this game, but there will be new companies that they want to do that. And the same will happen in SaaS world. So this vibe coding is going to make possible that companies that they need to get maybe 1 million. Okay, I need someone who can give me 1 million to pay coders, that they can do only 3 guys together, or maybe only one. And it's able to create one app that today is at the same level, or even better than many others that are created by a big amount of people. So I think that this is, in my opinion, what is going to happen with the new tools, that is going to, there will be an explosion of new ideas. And as Kirill was telling, you have an idea, you can create ideas. You don't need money now to do these ideas. You need the minimal amount of money to be able to get this idea, if you're a person with ideas, and to create something real. And years ago, it was impossible. You need to raise money. And these days, it's going to be something that could be done without raising money. You only need maybe money for the advertisement in Google or things like that. But okay, you're able to improve your SEO. Maybe even you need less and less and less. So maybe in the future, there will be less people raising money, and there will be more little companies creating fantastic ideas.
I already heard some like VC investors on podcasts telling that like, there is an issue for them because now if there is a guy with an idea, they don't need VC money for anything except marketing budget to just outrun the competition on marketing. But then they were all telling that okay, but the actual people with good ideas, these good ideas usually don't require like billions of money invested into marketing. Because like there are like if you look at the big ones like Twitter and so on, they were like no TV ads for Twitter.
Yeah, it's a good idea and explode. Yes, exactly.
All right. I think that's a wrap. That's our observation. If we miss something, probably you have your different highlights for 2025. Share that in the comments. Send us message and reply to the email of MKDev Dispatch newsletter. You can subscribe in the link down below. Give us likes. This is very helpful. And we, on behalf of MKDev and the three of us, wish you all the best in 2026, whatever holiday you are celebrating, like Christmas, whatever. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy Easter.
And Happy Easter. Yeah. Bye, guys.
And Merry Christmas.
The cloud tech industry is evolving so fast. Do you keep up with it by improving your skills or upskilling your team? At MKDev, we offer a variety of workshops for just that, from the basics to expert knowledge. Before delivering our workshops and training sessions, we carry out a detailed assessment of each participant. To make sure the workshop is helpful for you and your team, we will add more content to it or throw out what you already know. Or we create a custom workshop specifically for the needs of your team and the specifics of your project.